Hello, YouTubers, friends, compatriots, bootlickers, shills, desolate, peasants, vassals, minions, meat sacks, chemists. I'm a useful idiot. Welcome. And let's go to Syria. Because last week, on April 8th, 2016, there was a report of a chlorine attack, a chemical weapons attack in Aleppo, Syria. And this is very telling for a number of reasons. First of all, we have Al-Qaeda taking these chemical weapons attacks against the Kurds in Aleppo, the YPG. So, and then we also have a group, the Jarish al-Islam group, who claims responsibility for this chemical attack. And then we also have this video that appeared that shows the chemical attack, and it has some of the unmistakable trademarks of a chemical attack. So I guess my point being is that, so here we have a chemical attack. We have a group immediately taking responsibility so they don't have to worry about who to pin it on. And then we have an attack on the Kurds who have confirmed that this attack took place. And then we have people on the ground at the time of the attack who have analyzed it, who say it is a chemical attack. And then we also have a video of the actual event. And yet, because there's no political advantage at this point, there's no opportunism to be had, no propaganda purposes. We don't have a huge media splash of this, certainly in the West. And we also do not have government officials like before calling for some sort of repercussions in Syria for the use of these deadly weapons. And what this also confirms is what we've already known all these years, is that these chemical attacks are generally coming from Al-Qaeda. They tried to blame it on the Assad government at various points. And there's the potential that the Assad government might have used chemical weapons. I've always discounted that possibility because it just would not be to Assad's advantage to use them in the field because of the repercussions. And in fact, look at that. The United States almost went to war, more so, with troops on the ground in Syria, the threat of an invasion based on some of these previous stories about these chemical attacks and having them blamed on Assad and daring him to cross this red line. And then, as we know, 2 years ago, the Assad regime agreed to have all their chemical weapons confiscated and dismantled. And I have every faith that they probably fulfilled that requirement because, like I say, it's just not in Assad's interest to politically to use those kind of weapons in the field. Certainly not in the last year with the Russian support. But coincidentally, at the same time, we also have a report that came out from the Syrian American Medical Society that was published this week, and it details over 161 confirmed chemical attacks in Syria since 2011, with 1,491 deaths and over 14,000 injured. And there's also 130 other claims that were made of chemical attacks that couldn't be confirmed. So 300 chemical attacks in all reported. And just this last year, there was another 69 chemical war attacks. And once again, I bring up the point as how much have we heard over this last year about these 69 chemical attacks? How much have we heard about this new chemical attack? And what we're also seeing is this pattern where it's generally Al-Qaeda who's had the chemical weapons. So the people who are fighting for Saudi Arabia and Turkey and Israel and the United States, and the ones that we are arming and supporting are the ones using chemical weapons in the field, apparently. There's also speculation because of laboratories that have been confiscated by ISIS that they have been also fielding chemical weapons in Iraq and Syria. And that would also seem to be true. So we have the opposition of the Assad regime, once again, are the ones using the chemical weapons. And we have more confirmation now, and it just doesn't mean anything. And so there's the lesson. When we see these stories and how horrible the Assad regime is for using chemical weapons and how it was almost used as a pretense for going to a ground war in Syria, all this propaganda, all this opportunism that's been used in previous cases. Now we have chemical weapons apparently being used all over Iraq and Syria, and it just isn't a story anymore, and it's just not a topic for the American military and the Obama administration. So wow, how things change, huh? I'm a useful idiot, don't you be one too? Seriously.